Hey everybody, back in the shop today, and we are going to talk about Willys heat riser valves. You know, you can buy these from a lot of retailers. Now this is the manifold, exhaust manifold and intake that I took off that L head yesterday that I got out in our shed there. This one came in with that M38 engine. This belongs to Scott. And he wanted me to, because his welder wasn't working, he just wanted me to weld the shaft to the flapper in there. And this is what we got. So there are some things you need to know about these, and there are some problems out there these days, and a lot of guys are having a lot of trouble ruining their exhaust manifolds, boiling the fuel out of their carburetor. They might have a fresh rebuilt engine and it's just not running right, and they just don't know what to do. And I'll show you in a minute. If I had welded this one the way he brought it, he would have had trouble. And a lot of times when I send a long block out, you know, I never know what guys are going to put on there. So I put a kit in this manifold here, and this was the spring that came in the kit, and this was the arm. It's a very good looking arm. That's an original arm right there. Original arms do have a slight bend in them. The reproductions, this is a very nice reproduction, just not bent. It doesn't have that little angle in it to clear this bracket, but still a very nice one. This one from another parts vendor, it's very heavy and kind of crudely made. It'll work, but I think you can see the difference between the two. This one's very, very heavy. Not a big deal though. And basically the same kind of spring. Everybody's selling almost the same exact spring, and this is where the trouble comes in. So I'm going to get set up with a tripod, and we're going to actually watch these things work, and I'll show you what the problems are. Okay guys, when everything's cold, this weight drops everything down. This is the closed position, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to put a pencil in there. And you see that pencil in there? That's going to prevent, the exhaust is going to come where the pencil is, and that's going to prevent it from going out the exhaust, and it's going to heat up your manifold when the engine's cold. It's going to heat up the manifold and better fuel atomization and everything. There's a tiny little sneak path in there. I don't know if you can see it. Just to let a tiny bit of exhaust out. You know, you can't have it completely blocked up. You have to have some flow. So basically, that's going to come up, and it's going to come up one side and out the other side. Again, because you can't block the exhaust. So it's going to come up on the inside and go out on the other side of the flapper. And that's going to heat up the carburetor real nice. And then engine heat, there it is again, engine heat is going to pick up, is going to make that bimetallic spring pick that up. That's going to close, and your exhaust, 100% of it is going to go out. Okay, so I'm going to show you how this one works. We're going to put some heat to it. Let me try and get in here. Hang in there with me, everybody. Kind of a bumpy ride here. Okay, I think, back up just a little bit. Okay, now, I got a heat gun, and I'm going to heat up that bimetallic spring. Okay, maybe if I put this sideways you can see better. That's tough propping that thing up. Hang in there. This is important information here, guys. If you don't get this right, you're going to have trouble. And I get a lot of calls, and I trace it back to this, you know, a lot, way too many times. So, you could see, this is free, okay? That's how it's going to be. That's why most of them get stuck, in this position, and that's real bad, because your exhaust is it's just gonna ruin, the fuel is gonna get too hot and everything's gonna be a mess. But this is where they're always in their relaxed position. Only time they're closed like this and letting the exhaust flow is when the engine's running. Now, whenever I can, I use an original spring. Original spring on this one was in real good shape. Okay, we're going to heat this up now. Okay, you see that closing? That piece is coming up. That's closing that. Now, as long as the engine's running, all your exhaust is going to go straight out the pipe, out the muffler, out the tailpipe. Keep heat on that, and it's gonna work fine. Okay, so now that's all the way closed, and it'll stay that way. Okay, that's how that's supposed to work. That's a properly working heat riser valve. I'm gonna take some cool air from a blowgun, compressed air here. I'll cool that down. Okay, now it fell down again, and it's all the way like cold position. Okay, so that's all that needs to do, and that's it seems simple, and it should be simple, but it's not. Okay, bumpy ride today. Hang in there, fellas. Okay, that's your original spring in there. It's hard to see, everything's all one color, but it sits on this little guy here, and the intake manifold will be on there, and then you got that piece sitting on there, and then that bimetallic spring closes that. Okay. Now we got this other one from Scott's engine, and I didn't weld this one yet. I didn't do anything with this one, but you see it's in its cold, relaxed position. So the exhaust is gonna come out. It's gonna come around the intake. It's gonna come around intake manifold and go out, and that's what you want when it's cold. Now let's take the heat gun to this one and see what happens. See that spring unwinding? Okay, that didn't do anything. It coiled up the spring, and nothing happened here. It's just, oops, that's no good. So you might think to yourself, let's put the spring underneath there. So let's try that, and I'll show you what happens there. Let me set up a little better. Okay, guys, I got the spring underneath. And that's what most people's first instinct to do is, on the original, the spring is laying on the top. So naturally, guys get it, they look at it, they remember their original, they put it on the top, it doesn't do anything. Next thing they do is they put it on the bottom, and you see, I think you see it's coming up tight. Okay, that spring is winding up. Okay, it's winding up, but you don't see anything happening. Okay, what's happening is it's winding the wrong way. Watch this here. That's got pressure keeping it in the closed position where it's going to heat up the base of your carb too much. As long as the engine's hot, that's never gonna work for you. And so putting it underneath doesn't do anything either. Let me cool that down a little bit. And this is just like a lot of parts. They're being made, but they're not being made correctly. nobody out there that's making them is putting them in or installing them, and I see this all the time. Now that spring kind of looks like the original, where it would sit, you know, your bracket would come out and it would sit there and it would wind up and it would work, because that's what the original looks like. Let me get this other one. And this is the same kind of thing. You think that it's going to sit on that. Okay? It doesn't seem right, but let's take this spring. We had it on like this. Okay? Let's take this spring and flip it over. It doesn't look right. And when you're thinking of your original, just put that out of your mind. Just remember how your original was and put that out of your mind, because again, the parts are being made incorrectly. So when this goes on, when this guy goes on, there needs to be a something in that goes in the slot and that as well. Otherwise this won't turn it. So we're just going to put this on. We're going to get that washer in there and then in the slot a little bit. And then when the bolt goes through, it holds everything. You got to have something in there. You can't just pinch it with the bolt. So some manufacturers give you a little square piece with a rounded top. This particular company, I don't know where this one came from, but they gave you that little washer. And don't put it like under the nut and bolt. This one was under like a washer for the nut and bolt, and that wouldn't work. And you get this little heat shield as well, but we're not going to put that in. Let me just show you, when you put the spring in backwards to what you think it should be, let me show you what happens. Okay guys, everything is cool, and I got the spring turned upside down. We're going to put the heat gun to it. Okay, there it is, all the way open. And I think you can see how that worked. Now, we'll cool it down. There it is, closed again. Now, this has been a real problem because it doesn't look like the spring you took off. It's wound backwards compared to the original. The original sits the other way, and a lot of guys, I think, don't even check it, but it leads to a lot of trouble. So now, you know, I'm not picking on anybody, or Scott, if you're watching this, not picking on you at all. This happens to everybody, and the spring has to go the other way when you buy a kit from anybody. Everybody's using the same type of spring. It has to go on in the opposite direction of your original. That's why I always use the original spring if I have the opportunity. They work better. It's just better. There's another one. And if you're not sure, just do what I did. Take a heat gun to it and watch it actually open and close before you weld it. This has led to so many people having so much trouble with new engines, with old engines, with all kinds of engines, and they don't know why it's stumbling and not running right, and they change carburetors and they do this, that, and the other thing, but they never take the time to look, make sure the heat riser is working. That will absolutely make or break your day. So it's better, you know, like I say, they always freeze up in this position because that's how they sit. Jeep will sit forever, and it's got that thing closed, and that's the worst. It's better. It'd be better not have it like this and actually just go in there and cut that right out and have exhaust blowing out the side than it would be to have that closed, because it's just going to hurt your fuel. So, I just want to get this information out there. Like I say, you can buy kits from a lot of different manufacturers, but you're going to get the same spring. And it's been a real problem. And I hope that some guys that are having trouble see this and they realize they got to go in there again and change that out. And like I say, it doesn't seem like your spring should go that way, but that's the way it works on every spring that I've tried. I've tried just about everybody's different kit so I can put this to rest, you know, and the same springs are being used. No matter if it's that style, the style with the hook on it, it doesn't matter. They all wind up backwards. So be conscious of this when you're doing it. If you have any trouble with your engine, you just can't seem to figure it out, check this out. It's just been, you know, literally hundreds of people that we have found this to be the problem. So just wanted to get this information out there for you. When you're changing this, a lot of guys will probably ask, just get in there, cut that out, drill out the sides, do whatever you got to do to get that out. You can cut that with a Sawzall. You can cut that with a cut-off wheel. You could torch it out, plasma cut it out, whatever you got to do. You're going to get new bushings in your kit. Drill those out carefully. Drive them out, whatever you got to do. I don't like heating up the manifold, you know, locally real hot, because they tend to crack. So do it with hand tools, drills, grinders, whatever you can. Get it out. Make sure you put your washer or whatever through your weight and into the slot, so that you know, it can't spin on the shaft. That's critical. And I hope this helps some of you guys out there. We're going to end this one here, and thanks for watching as usual, and I'll catch you on the next video.